All right, hey, good morning, Snow, and welcome to another day. Yeah, got up pretty early this morning and got a fire started, and then got everybody fed. So now we're at this point. So, uh, yeah, I think we're supposed to get another 4 or 5 inches of snow later today. So I don't know. We'll see. It's not been yesterday and today. So far, it's not super cold, so it may be freezing rain. I don't know. Who knows? Either way, um, yeah. So I'm just gonna go with John 5 today, and yeah, here we go. So sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for the feast of the Jews. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethsaida, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Um, Sorry. Here, a great number of disabled people used to lie, used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One was there, had been waiting, an invalid, for 38 years. When Jesus saw him laying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, do you want to get well? Sir, the invalid replied, I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes ahead of me. Then Jesus said to him, Get up, pick up your mat, and walk. At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. The day on which this took place was the Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had said to the man who had been healed, It is the Sabbath. The law forbids you to carry your mat. But he replied, The man who made me well said to me, Pick up your mat and walk. So they asked him, Who is this fellow? Who told you to pick it up and walk? The man who healed me, the man who was healed had no idea who it was, for Jesus had slipped away into the crowd that was there. Later, Jesus found him at the temple and said to him, See, you are all well again. Stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you. The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who made him well. So, because Jesus was doing these things on the Sabbath, the Jews persecuted him. Jesus said to them, My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. So, because, sorry, hang on. Okay, for this reason, Jesus tried all the harder to kill it. John Jesus, sorry, gosh. For this reason, the Jews tried all the harder to kill him, Jesus. Not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father, making himself equal with God. Jesus gave them this answer: I tell you the truth. The Son can do nothing by himself. He can only do what he sees his Father doing. Because whoever or whatever the Father does, the Son also does. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all he does. Yes, to your amazement, he will show him even greater things than these. For just as the Father raises the dead and gives them life, even so the Son gives life to whom he is pleased to give it. Moreover, the Father judges no one, but entrusts all judgment to the Son. That's interesting. That all may honor the Son just as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. I tell you the truth. Whoever hears my word and believes in him who sent me has eternal life and will not be condemned. He has crossed over from death to life. I tell you the truth. A time is coming and has now come when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son to have life in himself. And he has given him authority to judge because he is the Son of Man. Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. Those who have done good will rise to live, and those who have done evil will rise to be condemned. By myself I can do nothing. I I judge only as I hear, and my judgment is just. For I seek not to please myself, but him who sent me. If I testify about myself, my testimony is invalid. There is another who testifies in my favor, and I know that his testimony about me is valid. You have sent John, and you have sent to John, and he has testified to the truth. Not that I accept human testimony, but I mention it to uh, I mention it that you may be saved. John was a lamp that burned and gave light, and you chose for a time to enjoy his light. I have testimony weightier than that of John, for the very work that my Father has given me to finish, and which I am doing, testifies that my Father has sent me. And the Father who sent me has himself testified concerning me. For you have never heard his voice, nor seen his form, nor his word dwell in you. For you do not believe the one who sent me, the one he sent. You diligently study the scriptures, because you think that by them you possess eternal life. These are the scriptures that testify about me. Yet you refuse to come to yet you refuse to come to me to have life. And that's something. I do not accept praise from men, but I know, but I know you. I know that you do not have the love of God in your hearts. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not accept me. But if someone else comes in his own name, you will accept him. How can you believe if you accept praise from one another, yet make no effort to obtain the praise that comes from from the only God? But do not think I will accuse you before the Father. Your accuser is Moses, on whom your hopes are set. If you believed Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote about me. But since you do not believe what he wrote, how are you going to believe what I say? Man, yeah, this is there's again Jesus talking to uh, you know Pharisee type folks, Jews persecuting him. Um, you know, just that these folks that worship the religion and the laws and are legalism type mentality and yeah. I mean, on one hand, there's so much um, hope in Jesus here. With him talking about um, you know uh, whoever hears my word and believes you know him who sent me has eternal life and will not be condemned. And then the other party goes on to you know uh, gosh, where's it at? Talk about where the um, like those that believe will, in their graves now will be raised, that kind of thing. Sorry, there's a whole lot of tiny red letters. And then over time I've highlighted bits and pieces of it in yellow, and so that does not help. As far as vision, doesn't help. um, you know uh, it's 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 uh it's difficult, like we've read so much in the New Testament about the Pharisees, teachers of the law, and all this so far. And if you've been in church for any length of time, you probably, and not even in church, like like a lot of times these are the people that you see judging everybody else, in the world around them. Um, but you got Jesus talking about them the whole time, basically, like, you know, not 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 condemning them, yeah, maybe like telling their, thoughts and actions are wrong, but um, he's really, I don't know. I think loving them by telling them the truth. I mean, I don't know. I think if he didn't care, then he wouldn't keep going, to the temple or this, to teach or going into these Jewish towns and all this stuff. Like, um, I don't know. Charlie Kirk kind of reminds me of this. I don't know Charlie, from anybody, but similar to Jesus, you know, um, he's going. He would go to these college campuses and places, where like it's knowingly hostile to to you, to your. It's hostile to Jesus. It's hostile to morality, right and wrong. It's hostile to the truth. And you have somebody like Charlie that goes in and he's not ugly to these people, not you know critical or criticizing, condemning, none of that stuff. It's just like he was almost. I think he was doing probably the most loving thing that could possibly be done, um, for these people on these college campuses. And you know they hated him. And it comes back like it's the same thing with Jesus here. It's like repetitive. um you know it's the same thing. And and frankly, although I have no expertise or knowledge, I would venture to guess that the same people that were behind the death of Jesus here uh also had something to do with Charlie. um Opinion. Don't think it was some random college kid, tell you that. The people behind the death of Jesus, you know, it's pretty cruel. It's one thing to, you know, persecute, condemn somebody, all this kind of stuff, um, from a worldly perspective. But to do it, do the condemning and the persecution and, chant to crucify him and all this, and, you know, basically the name of religion is, it's a whole other level of sickness. you know. And if you notice, the Pharisees and teachers of the law and all that, they weren't allowed, to kill him. They needed the Romans to do it so that because the uh, Old Testament law wouldn't let them just kill him. Uh, so you have a, I don't know, really good example of a group of people using the government to, you know, do what they desire them to do. It's gone on and on. You know, Now we're up to thousands and whatever of years, and it's just it's repetitive. And yeah, But I don't know. I think currently for our world, like our focus needs to be ourselves as far as living this out the way that Jesus is talking about, not the way that we've learned in church to be religious and legalistic and judgmental and condemning and all this kind of garbage. And once we uh, learn that and learn who Jesus is and all this, like actually is, not like who most of these pastors and churches are trying to teach, then you start to make an impact on the world. The reason there's so many churches all around us and uh, you know our country is still falling into garbage more every day is because of you know it's just religion. You know what I mean? It's just another like warm fuzzy thing. Um, like the world around us in the United States is looking at us like the Pharisees, the teachers of the law, all this. Like that's what they're looking at the church as. Like, yeah, why does anybody want anything to do with that? You know what I mean? Like all you're good for is telling people how wrong they are. No kidding. Like no kidding. Like they're gonna ignore you and just keep on. You know, it's ignorance when Jesus is clearly getting to know sinners that the Pharisees and teachers of law wouldn't. And then, like loving them, you know, before attempting to say like anything about their lifestyle or, who they are or any of that stuff, you know. It's just very sad. It's very sad that we think that we are remotely similar to Jesus, to even the disciples. Like, it's sad that we think we're remotely close to this. It's not. It's not. Individuals here and there, yeah, for sure, I believe totally are. As a whole, these jokers are running churches to be businesses. There's organizations that help churches figure out how to campaign to make money. All this stuff, like the whole list of things. It's like that's that's just what the Pharisees and teachers of the law and Sadducees and all this that Jesus is constantly getting into it with did. You know, same thing, but we don't see it. You know, I mean, can you imagine like if Jesus was here, and like somehow we think that he's gonna pull up in a suit and tie, you know, and congratulate us on how great we are. What insanity, you know? It's insanity. I mean, I've got, like I'm sorry, it just drives me. It drives me nuts. I'm not even good. I'm not even better. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, at all. It makes myself like sad, But I'm trying not to have any delusion, at least. Um, you got, I've heard numerous times, some older man, is like, you know, I just can't wait to hear, well done, good and faithful servant, and blah blah blah. I mean, God willing, I hope that's the case. But in the 20 whatever 30 years I've known you, you haven't done anything remotely similar to what Jesus or the disciples or any of these guys have done. Like, just like it just said, like, you study the scriptures and think you'll possess eternal life, and then that's it. You went to Bible study. Nope. I mean, where in the world? Like, sorry, going off track. It's just, yeah. It even frustrates myself because frankly, like, I, would love to think that I have, contributed to, you know, God's kingdom around me, in the world around me, some way, you know, um, and all that, um, and then I know, like, I used to do lead recovery ministry, and work in jails and stuff, and all that, and you know do everything I can to treat people, um, as similar to how Jesus would, regardless of the situation. Um, you know, I've had, like, literally people convicted of, or accused of, and convicted of, you know terrible crimes. You know, uh, look look at me like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen somebody smile in like 2 years. And it's like stuff we don't even think about. You know, and these are like, some I love these folks. I love everybody, but you know, some big old guy, black man in prison or in jail, like, convicted, just waiting to be picked up, and he's going away like long time, and like, if you just see the person, uh, you know, like, you have to see the person, you know. I don't know. It's been a 8 or 10 years since I worked in jails, and I still think about a lot of people. You know, it's a hard life. It's a hard life out here in the world. Uh, and it really sucks in jail and prison. Um, I don't know. I think that's, I don't know, some of why the dogs help. Always had dogs my whole life, unless somebody like us, parent or spouse was telling me not to for a time. Uh, uh, you know, I've probably mentioned before, even when I was a kid, like my grandmother, even today, like still remembers me riding around. I got like 13 dogs follow me as I'm riding my bike around and stuff. Not my dogs, just, uh, strays and whatever. I have no idea like where all these jokers come from, but um, just they love you, like um, unconditionally type thing, and yeah, we should really be learning from that, you know. We should we should be learning from that. It's really like it's really a special thing, you know. You know, animals that treat humans better than humans treat humans. Like, how wrong can you be, man? Anyway, yeah. Sorry, not trying to be a downer. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. That's probably all I got for today. Uh, got quite a bit to do. Uh, some morning coffee here in a little bit with a friend, and then work and take my dad to pick up a rental car so he can go to Louisiana, and then back to more work, and we'll see about the snow. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and I will hopefully be back tomorrow. All right.